Mm-mm. I am sipping my Dr. Pepper, getting started here. All right, well, they're live, which there is nobody watching right now, this moment, but that's okay. And I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming for tonight, which it's actually in the morning, but to me, if it's blackout, it's nighttime. So anyway, don't know how long this is going to be, but it doesn't matter. We'll have fun one way or another, or try to, or at least I will. I think I might. Feeling kind of blue, but anyway, for those that are wondering, you're watching Sketching Past Midnight. I am your host, CB Smallwood, here with you on this. What is it? It's now Tuesday. I guess it's Tuesday, and I've got my handy dandy helper here, Mr. Sharpie. It's got these two ends on it. I've shared this before. Now, unfortunately, the other one I had is starting to dry up on both ends. So maybe they share like the same ink in the middle. I don't know. But yeah, the other one I have is starting to dry up on both ends. And so I'm having to kind of use that for more like when I do actual inking stuff and doing my outlines and all the other stuff, you know. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So anyway, what we're going to do tonight, dear audience, is this. I've got my handy dandy broke phone. Well, it's not a broke phone, but it's one of my old phones. So I got this phone that I'm broadcasting from right now, and I got this phone right here that I kind of use as another toy, and I like to use these, different phones for different things. This one's a kind of like a social media thing. And this one down here, I have it filled with like ungodly amounts of reference. Maybe I can show you that. Maybe I can do that. Let's see here. Gallery. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're going to see a lot of pictures. And these are all screenshots from different things, things that I might find useful later. I've used up a lot of memory on my phone just from screenshots. Let's go ahead and let's get started. So today's topic, today's question, if we go over to banners. Question. And you can answer this question later on in the comments section if nobody tunes in tonight. You never know. What is your favorite horror movie or horror movies? And then I always like it when people actually post why. But if you don't feel like saying why, that's fine too. If you don't feel like commenting, oh, that's good as well. But that is the question of the day. What is your favorite horror movie or horror movies? So let's get sketching. And as I sketch, I'll try to answer this question myself. Now, before I answer the question, I want to talk about what it is exactly that I'm doing. I'm always trying to improve, get a little bit better than what I was the day before, And that's kind of mangled. What am I doing? Just do that. Try that. Then, yeah, you don't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to get the idea down. So what it is that I'm trying to do right now before I answer the horror question is basically I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get better. The only way you can get better at something is through trial and error, through practice, due diligence, or whatever. I don't know. So I'm kind of doing these like little figure studies, and then once I kind of draw them, I can go back to them later on and use them or find somewhere to put them. A lot of artists have their go-to poses. Ron Mars, one of my favorite artists, does. So does Rick Larson and Liefeld, Jim Lee. I mean, these go-to poses that they probably swipe from other people, to be honest. You know, kind of not liking how this has turned out, but I'm glad I did it though, because having done it once, I'll be more likely to kind of do it again, you know. But drawing in my sketchbook here, and I'm trying to really work on my storytelling, on my physical, you know, the body language of characters and stuff. Trying to get a lot of dynamic poses. I actually have, if you watch the last episode that I did, let me go get that. I have this book. It's got 1,200 poses, and this is the Colossal Collection of Action Poses. And this thing's about as thick as an old school phone book. Anyway, the poses in it are good, and I'll probably get some use out of it later. But the thing is, as hard as they try, some of the poses aren't like dynamic enough. I like the hyper what? What am I trying to say? The hyper exaggeration in superhero comics or old school superhero comics. Modern superhero comics, it's kind of hit and miss. Some people follow the old school order of things, and other people are trying to do more of a realistic, super hyper realistic type of storytelling. And I'm not a big fan of that because I feel like um, it's kind of boring. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a place for realism and stuff like it in comics. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like in comic book, in the superhero medium especially, it's that hyper, it's that exaggerated form of storytelling. The stuff that you don't see every day is what makes it unique. You know, what makes it over the top. You know, and that's why I'm studying these poses. And today's poses are brought to you courtesy of Ron Mars, and I'm big Ron Mars fan. And I promise anyone that might be happening to watch this broadcast, I will answer the horror question here soon, and you're welcome to participate as well if you so choose. Let's see. I notice in this pose right here, I'm drawing this kind of Batman. It's still very, it's kind of average, kind of just having a conversation, or you did a really good job today type of pose. If I can turn on this extra light and everything just pop up really a lot better. There we go. Boom, da-doom, doom. All right, so there's that. You find me another one to draw here. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm not being too particular on these. I'm just kind of picking random ones here. Sorry you can't really see it that well. It's a little bit of a lighting issue on my part. All right. Now, to answer the question of what is my favorite horror movie or horror movies, that's a tough one for me because because basically I have a lot of favorites. I have a lot of ones that I enjoy. So it'd be hard for me to pick just one, but I'll kind of run through a couple of them that I enjoy. I'm a fan of George Romero's stuff. I like all his zombie movies, you know, all the, you know, like Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn. Well, and no, remember phrase it: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then there's like Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, and there's one more. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I'll think of it later. But I enjoy each and every one of them. But now the Dawn of the Dead that George Romero done, I do like it. It has a lot of cool stuff in it. But once the people actually get in the mall for a while, things slow down like really hardcore. And I think it really hurts the film a little bit. I don't know. I have to rewatch it, but it can become a little tedious, little monotonous to watch. And I recommend. I really enjoy the Dawn of the Dead remake. I thought they knocked it out of the park with that. Now, some people didn't like it. Some people thought that the original Dawn of the Dead is a classic that can't be touched, and it has a lot of cool stuff in it. And I really enjoy stuff that kind of reflects the time period in which it's filmed, because it becomes like a time capsule. So the original Dawn of the Dead was filmed like, gosh, I don't know, sometime in, what was it, in the late 70s, maybe, in early 80s, somewhere in the 70s. So it's pretty cool that you're actually getting to go back in time whenever you watch a film and see things from that time period that don't exist anymore. They're gone, those trees, those plants, some of the buildings, some of the people, some of the actors have gone on to crap, you can't even see what I'm drawing. I'm sorry. My apologies. Anyway, I really like the Dawn of the Dead remake because they learned from, in my opinion, George Romero's mistakes. And so in that, when the survivors make their way to the mall, they find a way to keep it interesting and to kind of pull off the same type of message that George Romero was trying to state, about, I guess, not so much about commercialism, but materialism and stuff like that, the worship of these things and how fleeting it is. And anyway, I mean, that wasn't quite the full statement of what he was trying to make, but I think the remake did a good job of doing that better without you getting bored, because it does get boring in the original. So anyway, I like all the George Romero movies. I think they're good. I really enjoy them. I own them all. And I like the Night of the Living Dead remake, which was actually directed by George Romero's long time special effects guru, Tom Savini, which is really, really good. One of the best zombie movies ever done was the remake. Which, unless I'm mistaken, the cool thing about that, let me find me a different reference. The cool thing about that is, or the interesting thing, is that technically Night of the Living Dead is in the public domain. There's a little bit of legalities to that, but George Romero and I think this guy named John Russo kind of co-wrote Night of the Living Dead or whatever, and George Romero directed it and stuff. And this was done back in the '60s, and this was a what they call I guess a grindhouse flick or something like that. And anyway, because of a mishap about paperwork and trademark and all these different things, gosh, I'm mutilating this. I don't know if you can really tell. It don't matter. That's what a sketchbook's for, is to learn. Is to learn. So anyway, because of improper filing of paperwork and stuff like that, basically, as far as I understand it, Night of the Living Dead is public domain. And so what George Romero wanted to do is kind of do a remake of Night of the Living Dead, and he asked Tom Savini to direct it. And that was their way of trying to get the rights back to the film, and all this other stuff, because you had all these people that were coming out of the woodwork and that were making their own zombie movies using the Living Dead, moniker. Which in some ways, I'm not sure of the whole backstory of it, but another one of my favorite movies, Return of the Living Dead. And this whole string turned into zombies. I apologize, but it's interesting. Return of the Living Dead, which was done by co-creator of the Night of the Living Dead, John Russo. He kind of written it, and then some other guy came on board and rewrote the whole thing, made it better, and directed it and stuff. And I cannot think who this guy was, but anyway, I don't look too bad. But the point is, what is the point? What was the interesting thing? Oh yeah, the name Return of the Living Dead. So John Russo used that loophole. I mean, he is the co-creator, so I guess he would have that right to use the Living Dead name and just put the word Return of the Living Dead. So that was supposed to be like the unofficial sequel of Night of the Living Dead, which is awesome. The follow-up to Return of the Living Dead was Return of the Living Dead, I guess, Part 2. And that film was all right. It was okay. It had potential. It had some awesome stuff in it, but they were trying to be too goofball with it. They overdone the comedy, and they took all the horror elements out of it, and I mean there was some horror in it, but it just wasn't the same as the original. All right, let me get out of this. Well, all right, well, I'll finish up the zombie, my whole big zombie thing. I like 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. I think those are good zombie movies. I mean, there's a whole plethora of them, really. What's some other horror movies that I really enjoy? Well, like Evil Dead 1 and 2. Those are great. And those aren't really zombie movies. They're more like weird demonic possession type movies. A little bit of H.P. Lovecraft stuff. A little dash of everything, honestly. Let me find another reference here. Yeah, there's some good stuff going on. I mean, look at that. Look how you can't tell me that Ron Mars is not the bomb.com. He's good. He's great. Not Ron Mars, not the writer, Ron Friends. I'm so sorry. Not the Green Lantern writer from back in the day and some guy that works at the Top Cow now. No offense to him. I'm talking about Ron Friends. Ron Friends. G-O. I get mixed up between those two sometimes. Not my camera. What's crap? Oh yeah, I was talking about the Evil Dead movies that were written and directed by Sam Raimi, same guy who did Darkman, same guy who did all three Spider-Man movies, the good ones, which the other ones weren't half bad either. I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. Let me scoot that up. I really like the Army of Darkness movie that Sam Raimi did. It was the third movie in the series of Evil Dead. Really good. It was very influential on me, because I remember when I was in grade school and I watched that, and I was reading a lot of Ghost Rider comics, and I came up with my own character called Knight Rider or something like that. And Knight Rider basically looked like Ghost Rider, except for he had a chainsaw for a hand. And I think the other thing that influenced me too was at the time I think Ghost Rider 2099 probably came out, and that has some awesome Chris. I don't know how you pronounce Chris's last name. Bachilo. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Well, I guess it matters to him. No offense, but you know what I mean. Point is, awesome artwork. Those were influential on me, and If you've not seen Army of Darkness, you should watch it. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's got cool special effects. It really encapsulates what the Evil Dead series is all about. And they did I believe, an AMC series. Kind of running out of space here. I think I might be able to fit that in there. Put it down here where the flames are at. They did an AMC series called Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is pretty good. And it should give you plenty of what? Plenty of freaking Evil Dead mayhem. Lots of great stuff in there. Fantastic one-liners. I mean, you name it, it's all in there. Just kind of getting the feel here. I'm learning stuff I should have learned eons ago, but learning now. Let's see. Figure this out. And again, for anyone watching now and anyone that watches in replay, I apologize that this isn't like zoomed in more. This is I don't know. I think it's something that, unless I don't know how to work it, I wish StreamYard had a feature that would let you zoom in a little bit better. Or, maybe those of you that are tech whizzes can explain to me how I can do that, because I haven't quite figured that out yet. Okay. I got some questions. Let's see. We're discussing Sam Raimi. That is correct, sir. Sam Raimi, the director of the Evil Deads, of Army of Darkness, Spider-Man, Darkman, and he did one movie. I think it was called, was it Go to Hell? It was something about hell. I can't remember. It's kind of like everybody forgot about it. Everyone forgot about it. It was a decent movie, though. It was good. Brother of Joxer, the mighty. If I can speak English, I cannot. Indeed, sir. Salazar asked, "Is that your level up sketchbook?" Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's my level up slot book. My sketchbooks are very how can I put this? They are, especially some of the older ones. They're total mayhem. That there's no rhyme or reason to them. I can flip through some of it. Like right up here, I got some notes that I used for the last live cast. So if it seemed like I was a history whiz, I had to actually have some names and dates handy so I could give my impromptu history lesson. And let's flip to the beginning of this bad boy. So this is what my sketchbook looks like. I actually got quite a few. I like the ones that Dollar General has. They're like black and they're like skinny, and it's not because it's a preference for the paper or anything. I just like the black, and they're cheap, and they just serve the purpose of just basically, filling the paper up and that sort of thing. But in this sketchbook, right away, you're greeted with the image of Wildcat, and what I was wanting to do, let me get my comic here. I was talking about the idea of, redoing the first issue and all this other stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that bother me, but you look at this, and he has kind of a Ben Grimm grimace, like the Thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's something very friendly about that face. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I love this cover. I love the colors. It's one of the best things I think I've done. Now, some of you might be like, "Oh, it's horrible," and you might be right. I'm just not seeing it. But anyway, when after I had time to look at it, I had a couple of problems, And one of the problems is the eyes. I think that adding a little bit of sinisterness to the eyes by lowering the brows. And if you look at the eyes in the original, if you can tell, I haven't got them quite lowered like how I do on this. And I'm employing a little bit more shading that I'm doing now. And I like both versions, but yeah, I think this is the route that I'm kind of leaning toward. And then the tombstone, I lowered it a little bit. Here it's popping out, and so I want to kind of maybe just lower that maybe a little bit. Anyway, let's see. I have to take a peek at my sketchbook here because I don't know what you're going to see. I got secrets. I got secrets I don't want you to see. Here I am studying Rob Liefeld. But whenever I study people, you know, whenever I riff off people, I don't do a true blue swipe. And I have no qualms about swiping, you know. And if anybody thinks less of me of it, it's just how it is. I see no problems with it, as long as, like, you know, your whole comic isn't swiping, you know, because you need help, and the human body can only be drawn in so many ways, you know. But anyway, so I'm studying Rob Liefeld, and when I study people, I kind of I deviate. You know, I take the core things that I like, and then I give myself the freedom and flexibility to incorporate my other influences or the other things that I like. You know, and then here, you know, this is basically Liefeld, but here it kind of has more of like a very, very loose Jim Lee freaking shading thing, you know. Like if you ever seen Jim Lee's like really rough roughs, it kind of puts me in mind of that. Not saying that I am Jim Lee or anything like Jim Lee, but puts me in mind of it. And this, speaking of Jim Lee, this is actually a pose, I think, from Superman #1 or Superman Unchained. And I thought it looked kind of neat, and I was trying to study it, and so I drew that. Okay. This is me studying Mike Mignola, and I kind of went off and did my own thing there. And here's these some dark creatures. There's a lot of dark creatures in the comic Wildcat. You know, that's a giant skull for whatever reason, and the anatomy is a little wonky. And I'm trying to do a tasteful mix between Mike Mignola shading and freaking the details that I like to do. A big detail guy. But the closest person I can think that does a good mix of that would be, you know, like David Finch. Let's see. And I don't draw on these other signs, but I probably will in the future. And the reason is the pencil marks and stuff kind of rub off, and it just makes everything look really gooey. I erased this face. I think it was just too much for me to bear. I didn't like how it turned out. And here I'm studying John Buscema. I really like John Buscema. I'm a John Buscema guy. Let me move this comment out of the way because I'm just like blocking everybody's stuff here. Let me get this question out of the way. I'll go back to it later. I was kind of rambling more than anything, like I am now. But here I am studying John Buscema. This one on the far left here didn't quite turn out Buscema-ish. It's kind of hit and miss. You guys didn't know that, did you? And I was a John Buscema fan. I'm pretty much a fan of everybody, honestly. And to bring it back home, you can see maybe a little bit of the John Buscema influence on this kind of redone version of the possible redone version of the Wildcat cover. Let's see. Okay, so here I am doing more John Buscema stuff, and then I'm also working on my women, working on the ladies. And for the reference on the ladies, what was I using? Oh, I think I know. It's this artist. That's uh, they know it's an artist CP. They want to know the name. Uh, it has the word "sun" in it. I think he's a Korean. I think he's a Korean artist who does manga, and he does super detailed manga, and he's awesome. I can't think of his name, but I was trying to get like the vibe. Now, um, I put a bit of Arthur Adams in my ladies, and I used to study J. Scott Campbell hardcore back in the day, so it's kind of weird, when I kind of deviate from the Arthur Adams, my stuff ends up looking like Campbell, but none of these look like Campbell. Okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, um, as I was studying this Korean artist, somehow the Chris Bachello, whatever his name is, kind of came out in me. Uh, just working on poses and stuff like that. None of these are original poses, that I came up with. It's just stuff I've seen other artists do, and I just kind of draw things my own way. So like some artists did that girl pose there, probably on Instagram, and I swiped it and drew everything. I did, the outline and stuff the same, but like the details, that's all me, Um, this was probably this is probably an Eric Larson thing. This is kind of the body type that I really like for Wildcat. Is like, he's got these average legs but this absurdly large upper torso, and so studying that to incorporate that into Wildcat. Okay, this is me studying, more people. Like I get on Instagram a lot and Pinterest, and I study other people. And so um, these things down here, like this one and this one, is pretty much identical to the art that the original artist did. So I did not deviate a lot because I thought what they did was just so fantastically awesome that I copied it. Um, this could be my version of me studying Sam Keith, one of his ladies. And you can see the differences, but you can see the same Keith at the same time. I could be wrong, but I think that's what that is. And then I like this concept. So I put a lot of this, I want to embrace more of this, just seeing eyes in the darkness type of monsters. And then if you look, I did that in this one, you know. So I'm constantly Frankensteining, from other people and stuff like that. And if you see stuff that you think that I do cool, and I'm nobody, I'm a nobody, feel free to Frankenstein. Take bits and pieces of my stuff, whatever that might be, and make it unique, make it your own. This is really horrible, so don't judge me. A lot of times my sketches is just me trying to work out ideas, and the anatomy and stuff is horrible in this, and that's the whole reason that you get to it. That's the whole reason I'm doing stuff like this, is to fix that, you know. Salazar says, "Nice." Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. But you wouldn't say nice in reference to this. It was nice to some other sketch. But anyway, so let me show you this. I've actually done another version. I think I did two more versions of this same page. In the original, man, we're getting real in depth here tonight. I didn't expect this to turn into a sketchbook tour, but that's okay. I think my hard talk was running into a slump. But anyway, she's running through an old cemetery. And this white silhouette back here is these bad guys that are chasing her, and there she is running. And here she is running here, and the bad guys screaming at her, chasing her. And when I originally draw on this, like I didn't do a good enough job showing her tripping, and somebody actually recommended in the YouTube comments that I should show her tripping. And so when you guys and gals give me suggestions on ways to make things better and stuff like that, I do listen. So this right here, this panel, I added this because someone in my comment section on one of my YouTube videos suggested it, and I was like, that's a good idea. And I mean, there's lots of examples of that, like Wildcat's claws, for example, used to be golden. They used to be golden. And I was asking the audience, should I change them to black? You know, because I felt the gold was very distracting. And everybody said, yeah, go black. And you guys, you guys and gals, I'll listen to yuns. Anyway, I like how these guys turned out, you know. That's pretty cool. And but like I felt like she was like she looked very disproportionate. It looked more like what's that classic where it's not Gilligan, or maybe it is Gilligan, not Gilligan's Island, but where this guy who is like a sailor, he gets lost at sea, and he's on this island of Lilliputians or whatever it is, and they have him tied down with ropes and stuff like that, and they're about this small, and he's like, you know, life size. He looks like a giant. And is it Gulliver? Is it Gulliver's Travels? It might be. It might be. But anyway, she's like as big as Gulliver's Travels and makes them look like Lilliputians, and I didn't mean for that to happen. Maybe you didn't notice it till I pointed it out. Maybe that was a mistake, but that's something that has always bothered me. And so I was trying to fix that. I really like the freaking, I like that cemetery gate thing that I got going on there. And then I kind of use the original opening panel. And then here, I was like trying to do something kind of fancy. You see how her anatomy gets all out of whack here. And then I started to kind of sketch up the bad guys. And I mean, this may still work, you know, this hypothetical first page, which this isn't the first page anymore. I'm going a different route. I'll explain that in a bit. Let's see what I got behind here. Okay. This is one of my characters. I haven't thought up a good name yet. I used to have, in the late 90s, early millennium, I had a character named The Darkness. This always happens to me, by the way. I had a character named The Darkness, and then somebody happened to create a character named The Darkness that is awesome, by the name of Mark Silvestri in Top Cow Comics. And I was like, well, blank. I guess I can't use The Darkness no more. You know, there's the name Demonic. I'm thinking about Demonic, but I don't know. But I'm leaning toward freaking Ghost Lantern, and this is like a preliminary sketch thing. And I promise you that I've got some really cool versions of this that blow this out of the water. Here, I saw this on Pinterest, and Pinterest has a lot of great art tutorials on comics and stuff like that. And I know you can't really tell. Let me get a pencil here. This is actual a spear, and the lines are like that, going all the way up and then going down spherical. Okay, kind of get the idea. And the benefit of that is it gives like a weird 3D effect, a very trippy effect to your art. And so, you know, that's something I like to incorporate in the future. Don't know if I'll be able to or not. I think this is me studying Joe Mad, but I'm doing it my way, you know, adding in details and stuff like that. So you can see the Joe Mad, but you can also see that it's not, you know, it's something else. And I think this is just some anime thing. It's probably like Naruto or something like that that I kind of done my own way very crudely. I'm not a Naruto fan, but I'm the type of guy that will pick up anything and try to study from it. And if I think it's going to make me better, then I'll do that. Okay. This is me studying, if I can hold this steady, I'm sorry. This is me studying Jack Kirby. Now, if you notice, I take what I like from Kirby and I use it, and then I do my own thing. So it's like this same layout Kirby did and everything like that, but I just drew it my own way. And so the difference is it's just stylistic. You know, that's pretty much everything in a sketchbook. But I'm going to tell you something really cool right now that's going to blow your mind. It's gonna blow it, and I want to do a whole video on it. And let me see. Hang on, guys, don't go nowhere. I'm going to be sitting right here. Let me get a ruler out of my handy dandy. I'm going to show you something really cool. I tried to explain this once before to maybe one or two other people, and maybe I didn't do a good enough job, but I don't think I really sold them on it. But to me, this was a game changer. What time I'm thinking of it, I think I should show it. Maybe that, yeah, that'll work. Okay. But drawing characters in proportion, you know, like in really good perspective on the page. Different artists do different things. John Burns, what he'll do, gosh, I probably shouldn't do this because I'll muck it up, but like, I'm not the right guy to teach this. Okay, so I'm just telling you right now. Let's say like you got this, I guess this is called the horizon line, right? And this is where your eye just kind of looks straight ahead, you know? And sometimes, like for example, when some artists will how will they do it? They'll draw a head here, head here, head here, you know, and I don't know, whatever. And basically, what puts these three things in perspective to one another is their eyes. So the horizon line is on their eye level. So there's a lot of artists that use this, from Greg Capullo to John Byrne, just everybody. Now I've seen John Byrne do something a little bit different, and again, I'm not going to do this justice, but I'm going to attempt it, you know. And I'm building up to the point about Jack Kirby. Okay. Dang it! Can I do it? Put myself on the spotlight here. No, I'm already messing up. Let me bring it up here. There we go. Much better. So what John Byrne will sometimes do is he'll draw the horizon line going right through the knees of all the characters on the page. So some artists will go through the eyes, some artists will go through the knees, and everybody changes it up. Everybody uses different points where the horizon line goes through, and then sometimes they'll go through, you know, the torso. So all the torsos on the comic book panel will line up. If I had a comic book candy, I'd probably show that. But anyway, so when I was studying Jack Kirby, which I still am, my question was to myself is, Like I noticed in a lot of his art, the horizon, the the drawing the characters in perspective line doesn't line up. The eyes don't line up. The knees don't line up. Stomachs don't line up. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. Jack Kirby was doing his own thing. I'm sure other artists probably did it before him. And I wonder, do you notice, though I kind of mucked it up a little bit, where how is these characters in perspective? Maybe like the original probably looks better in perspective than my attempt. But where do you think that it lines up at? Well, if we look and go like this, we can see that there's definitely like a line going here, right? So if you want to look at a lot of Jack Kirby books, something that he'll do a lot is he'll have like one or two characters that are in the foreground, right? And this is what he'll build his whole image off of. So when Jack Kirby didn't draw this, yeah, I drew this, but it was ripped off of Jack Kirby. But anyway, when Jack Kirby drew the original, he probably drew Reed Richards first, and then he kind of determined that everybody else was going to fall behind. So what he would do is, starting with the eyes, he would draw the top of the head of the other character. All right. And then starting with the eyes, he would draw roughly the top of the head of the other character. Starting with the eyes, drawing roughly the top of the head of the other character. Starting with the eyes, drawing the top of the head of the other character. And it creates this unique, really cool effect. And this panel that I saw from an issue of Fantastic Four really just like blown my mind. I've seen Rob Liefeld and countless other artists do this, and it's something that nobody talks about, and I don't think anybody really knows about it. This is more like instinctive, putting people in perspective rather than something official, because you're allowed to kind of slop it, right? So anyway, I don't know if you get what I'm talking about, but it's something really, really cool. And I think it can open up your art in a lot of cool ways. Also, they do Star Wars posters. They do Star Wars posters using the same technique. They do. Really, really cool. Down here, this is my study of some artists off of Instagram, or I don't know, Pinterest, whatever. I don't credit these people because I don't really plan to, like, make a living off their work. Like I study them, learn off of them, and to kind of find my own voice. And I did render this a little bit my own way. The guy who did the original was a lot more cleaner, where mine is more sketchy and stuff. And this is me just practicing lettering. I have an itch to try to letter my own comics sometime, by hand. I'm all about doing stuff the old school way. All right, here I am studying Rob Liefeld, and I'm just embracing it. I'm just like, screw it. I'm not going to deviate. I'm going to try my best not to deviate and just, learn. I think it turned out pretty cool. This is me studying Jack Kirby down here, his use of blacks. I really like that. And these last three panels is actually from it's from a freaking Conan story drawn by John Buscema. But I drew them my own way. So like the layouts are exactly the same and the people are in the same whatever, but I just drew it my way. And I remember that thing that I was telling you about? The top of this person's head goes to her eyes. Now in the background, it kind of breaks the rule a little bit. This is not like an official rule, but this is something that helps put things in perspective in a really cheap and lazy way. So the top of the head matches to her eyes. And let me show you something else. All right. Because I believe in, you guys and gals will share what you know with me, help me get better. You know what I mean? I believe in helping lift each other up. The tide rises all boats. I'm going to be the tide for the day. But here, this is pretty interesting panel. And it looks like when in the original, sorry, I don't have the original handy, when John Buscema laid it out, he basically did a line and a hump and came down and just kind of drew the people in there. And in some of this, it's really slopped on here, so I'm sorry you can't tell, but here's a head, there's the eyes, there's the top of another head, right? And you know, it just goes on and on through, you know. Here's top of the head. This line goes to this person's eyes, and trust me, it's not a conspiracy theory. This is legit. This is something that can help you lay pages out and stuff. This may have been a Jack Kirby or maybe a Tim. What is that guy's name? He's known for doing like Batman animated series. It doesn't matter. But this is me drawing it my way, but using the same pose. Drawing Miss Fantastic. I think she turned out fairly fantastic. I drew this for the heck of it. You can guess what this is. You know, this is pretty much straight out of my head. Now, when I penciled this looked like a hot mess, but once I started inking it, it looked a lot better. I had no plan whatsoever, you know. I just started slopping it down and stuff like that. It's a bad habit I got because I got to plan my stuff out better, you know. Wildcat. Drawing Wildcat purely out of my head here. And this is a character that I created called Roger. Roger the kangaroo. All right, this is me working on the ladies, trying to get everything down pat here. Um, and I'm not just working on the ladies either. I'm trying to draw the fox. Now, the fox is supposed to be a bit of a tomboy, and so I'm wanting to put that in there. And one of the things I'm going for is these thin, wide lips. And so I'm wanting to kind of capture that vibe, you know. And you can see elements of freaking Arthur Adams a little bit in there, maybe. This is me sketching rough ideas of the Gogi. Some of it's inspired by things I've seen online and stuff like that. Let's see. I don't want you to see some of this stuff. I have to really judge. Okay, so remember how I was talking about hypothetically, you know, redrawing the first issue of Wildcat and stuff like that. Well, I had a couple of problems other than art problems, you know, because I feel like I draw way better now, and I have you know, I want things to be bigger and a lot more dynamic and all this other stuff. Let me answer a quick question or answer here. Salazar said Bruce Timm. So when I was talking about earlier, the freaking, I can find her. Where's she at? Where you at, fair lady? When I did my Sue Storm sketch, I might have been looking at a Bruce Timm pose or something like that, which I did it my way, but stylistically, but it's based off of that. So yeah, I think it's probably Bruce Timm, or it might be Jack Kirby. I'm not sure. Bruce Timm is awesome, by the way. I'm wanting to get into studying more Bruce Timm because I love his poses, his storytelling. It's all top-notch stuff. But anyway, one of the problems I ran into when I was freaking drawing this thing is I want things to be bigger and more dynamic. And then sometimes I did that, you know. And then, but most of it is just like kind of like storytelling, which storytelling is good. But I feel like Like this page right here, I want to do more of this. More of this Sam Keefy kind of 90s style, breaking the border type of art, stuff that just invades the page, that really, sucks you in into the artwork, Can't see nothing for the glare, I'm sorry. And this wildcat pose, I want to do it differently, so there's a lot of stuff I want to do different. A lot of things that I can do better. So anyway, I had problems, and one of the problems was, why is she running in the forest? And I had an idea of why that was in the beginning, and I don't want to say what it was, because I'm still writing. And also I felt like the fox hijacked this comic, because like in the first, 4 or 5 pages, it's the fox. And then by pages 5 and 6, Wildcat finally shows up, and then eventually Wildcat has a big battle with all these bad guys, and he ends up triumphant and bloody, right? And and then the rest of the pages is basically the fox just taking the story over again, And I don't know. So a lot of the dialogue, it's a question like how do you write the story? Do you write it from the perspective of the fox? And if you do that, is it the fox's book? Should it be called the fox? How do you make Wildcat the focus again? Because he's the catalyst to everything, and that's what the book is about. So what I did was I decided, like, if when it comes to like redrawing the comic, what I need to do is have Wildcat be in the first couple of pages, so people know right away this is a Wildcat comic. And so I kind of sketched out an idea. So this would be hypothetically page 2 of the rebooted first issue, right? And you got some implement of destruction. I don't know what that would be. Could be anything. And Wildcat's getting whacked in the face, and you can't really make Wildcat out because most of this stuff's in shadow. And then you got this, middle panel here. This is Wildcat's battered face, and this is going to be like colored, his blood colored, And these are the bad guys. There's like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 of them here. Five individuals that are in shadow that you don't know who they are, and they're the 5, right? And this is going to be one of the many mysteries of Wildcat is, who are these 5 people? How were they able to kill Wildcat? Which they kind of explain it in the first couple of pages. Like, Wildcat is so hard to kill. He has a healing factor and stuff that they had to trick him into ingesting uranium, radioactive material, which they probably procreated from the Russians, because the Russians love doing that stuff. Procreated. That ain't the right word. Whatever. I know English is my second language. Okay. I'm Kentuckian here. But anyway, and they acquired the uranium, and they put it in some drink, whatever. And these are bad guys, and Wildcat was kind of a bad guy himself, and he drinks the radioactive material. It could have been a beer, it could have been anything, and it breaks down his healing factor, and so they're able to beat on him and start to kill him, start the process of killing him. And now I'm going to redraw probably some of the top panels here. These are all tentative things, but I wanted to show the implements of destruction: the gas can, axe, a chainsaw. I mean, they're laying it on him, and they're still beating on him. He's spitting out blood. Here's a guy holding a chainsaw. I don't know what is my obsession with chainsaws. Chainsaw guy, some guy holding an axe over top of Wildcats. That's his head. This is his back. He's down on his knees, and I need to draw that so it shows up clearly, so that way I don't have to explain it to you. You can just see for yourself. Here's this guy, he's standing there. He's got his axe. Like, yeah, this is happening. And he lifts it way in the air, building the tension. And then And then all you see is the bad guy's face and then blood splattering up this way. And I made a little note because I could just picture the dialogue, and it says glorious. This bad guy is saying glorious. Like it's such a wonderful sight to see, you know. I was like, it's just glorious. And here he is taking another swing, and then more blood splatter getting on the bad guy's face, you know, Wildcat's blood. And then I wanted to show like his the axe being left in his body, and a trail of this blood, and there's Wildcat's feet, and you know, maybe something else silhouette in the background. And I think that would really encapsulate the horror. So that'd be roughly the first 4 pages or so. And I had started the initial work for page 5, and it didn't turn out, you know, it wasn't coming together well. You know, really look at my stick man. Look at him there. So, oh, I tried. Let's see here. Any more secrets? This is my version of the Black Terror, you know. And this is going to be one of the characters that's going to be in my universe, you know. I like how this turned out. And my son Cooper, who's 3, you know, he decided to add his own mark to it. But, you know, this is more me working on the Black Terror. Probably drew his head a little too big or his body too small. It just depends on how you look at it. This is a failed, mostly because of the face. I wanted to make the face look more realistically like a gorilla. This is what's his face is Black Flag, Couch Doodles, Dan Fraga. I think that's it. This is his character, and I did this for a contest, and I didn't get finished with it. You know, I was going to ink it and stuff, but then I didn't like how this head turned out at all, so I just like, no, screw it. I gave up. I tapped out. This is me studying Jack Kirby, doing things my way. This is the first page of the first issue of Fantastic Four, and I also took markers like these alcohol markers, and I'm trying to study everything, you know, from like Stan Lee to the letterer to the colorist to Jack Kirby. You know, learn from the old school, learn from the greats, and I actually started the video series called Covering Kirby. You know, you can find that on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in looking that up, it's probably like 20 or 30 minutes long, and I can't remember. It's called Covering Kirby, and you actually see me inking the page and talking about the problems that I had with it, you know, and some of the things that I learned and some of the things I did wrong and some of the things that I changed. So I don't want to get too much into that. This is me studying light and shadow, trying to do it kind of like my way, you know, so borrowing from Mike Mignola and then doing my thing with it, whatever that may be, you know. I told you my sketchbooks are very how do you put it? My sketchbooks are kind of bipolar. They're just all over the place. There's no rhyme and reason to them, you know. You know, sometimes I'll write down notes, a lot of notes or ideas. Sometimes I'll just sketch. Sometimes I'll actually kind of sketch out pages for the comics I'm working on and character sketches. I'll doodle. I'll do all kinds of things. I don't know, whatever. You know, I'll write lyrics to songs. So here's a makeshift idea of a page I have for the redux of Wildcat #1. This would be hypothetical page 6. I know you can't really see the line work really well, but this is the fox waking up. So this is her room. She's in bed. The alarm's going off. And I just wanted to have a lot of debris and a lot of garbage everywhere. And the idea is in the first couple of pages of the Wildcat comic, you get Wildcat being beaten and killed. He gets killed in the first 4, 5, 6 pages of the comic. And that happens like 10 years ago or whenever it is, 20 years ago, doesn't matter. And then you fast forward to present day and there's an alarm going off, me, and then you're introduced to the fox. And so I thought that was a good way to make this kind of more of a dual book of telling both their stories, but you know, letting the audience know that this book's about Wildcat, you know. So, you know, I might not use any of this page at all, or any of these pages, you know, it's all tended to change. I know you can't really tell, but this is a head right here. This is an arm hanging off the bed sheet coming down. And this, let me help you out here. We'll put 6 a.m. That's a clock. There you go. I hope that helps. And these are fingers mashing down on the top of the alarm. You know, all that's subject to change. I don't know what I'll draw, you know. And then this is her waking up groggy, not feeling the start of the day. I don't think I quite accomplished that look, but it is what it is. Probably could draw maybe hell like a hand or something here. I don't know. Yeah, I think I've drawn a hand there somewhere. Just kind of doing something will help, you know, make that look a little better. Here she is getting out of the bed, yawning. And bless my heart, I tried. You see me, you see me trying to do actual perspective. You know, like we'll try to draw stuff in perspective. I'm working on my stuff, guys, gals. Hypothetical page 8. There she is, you know, toying with her phone, scratching the back of her head, her body out of proportion because that's just how I do things, and I need to work on that. There she is, attempting to brush her teeth, and I need to make that look better. This is okay, I guess. Her walking outside from her house, and I was erasing something here, and it created like this weird horror effect. I don't know what the deal is with that. It is what it is. Hypothetical page 9. Here she is in the pickup truck. Don't judge me on the truck. None of these, you know, these are sketches. Okay, this is me just kind of, you know, trying to get the stuff out there, right? So she's on her way to school. Here she is behind the wheel. She hasn't got her hoodie up yet, I guess, and she's sitting there. This is the front of the school and stuff like that, and there are people walking by, and she's kind of got this thought on it, like got this thing going on, like, you know, I wonder if the coast is clear. And then I drew these 3 circles here, and I made a point to help myself remember Mean Girls. You know, these are the Mean Girls of the school, and I had an idea, and I think it's important when you think of these things when they hit you, you need to write it down. And so the idea I had is one of them say "nice truck," you know, and they're not saying it in a very, you know, complimentary way. It's more insulting. And so we got the fox here, and we're going to have the Mean Girls walking away saying, you know, talking trash, whatever, and just her reaction to that, you know, basically. Okay, this is just another study page. Me studying, you know, various artists on Instagram and Pinterest and stuff, and, you know, obviously Jim Lee and whatever that is, and Mike Mignola at the bottom. I love his use of shadows, you know. This is me drawing from my head, and the rest of the stuff is Mike Mignola studies. This is a J. Scott Campbell study. Dokion thing. This is my redesign of a public domain character, kind of making it my own, so that way it's mine. I don't know what this is. It's probably a Bruce Timm study, maybe, and I really liked the light and shadow on it, where it was going, so I just kind of, do whatever with it. And that's just me drawing from my head, I think. This might be me drawing from my head, too. I'm not for sure. This is me studying muscles and veins. I can't say for sure, but this might be an actual photo reference. No, I don't think it is a photo reference. I think this is Simon Bisley. Really like the way he draws arms from behind. It's really cool. So I was trying to study him and Liam Sharp. All right, I'll explain this. Arms and chest. Okay, so what I was trying to do is study the arms and chest in relation to one another and how they flex. And I wanted to set a goal for myself, like spend a week like drawing this, and spend a week drawing this, and then spend a week drawing this, so forth and so on. I wanted to be very disciplined with it. So like it'd be, and I mean like drawing it really detailed. This is just like the basic idea. I'm talking about really detailed, drawing the arms and all the different poses and stuff like that. So that way, I don't know, maybe I'll become a comic book artist finally. you know, just me studying muscles and stuff. Some things coming out good, some things coming out wrong. Just breaking down stuff, finding ways to do it where it makes sense for me. This is me still tinkering with the look of the fox, trying to get that look down, trying to get something unique that really stands out for the fox. And this is me actually looking at photo reference, not other comic book artists, but actually looking at an Instagram model, for inspiration. This is me plotting out page 2, Fantastic Four issue 1 for my video series covering Kirby. So I was laying down the blue line so that way, whenever I did the video, I could have something to work with and not worry about making mistakes so much. This is me. Man, I sound really vain. This whole video was me saying, "This is me. This is me. This is me." I made a mental note to study James Herron and Daniel Warren Johnson because they do a lot of what I want to incorporate into my comics with the speed lines and the manga and anime influence. There's a lot of bad manga and anime out there. I'm not a big anime manga fan because the fact there is a lot bad out there. But when there is good anime and manga, it tends to be really, really good. And the cool thing is James Herron and Daniel Warren Johnson have done all the work for me. They've done all the work for me by studying all the great anime manga artists, and they've incorporated that in their artwork. So all I have to do is study it. I think this was originally maybe a James Herron based comic book page. So none of this is original. This is just me copying somebody. But if you notice, I took out the character that was in the original and I put Wildcat in his place. Because in order for me to study stuff, I had to put Wildcat in everything because it makes it more worthwhile for me. Let's see. All right. This is more of my son, doodling in my sketchbook. And this is me studying Rob Liefeld, but kind of doing it my way, with a little mixture of the way I do things, I guess. This writing here, I had an idea. This has nothing to do with this, but like I was like thinking that I would like to have somewhere in the first 6 issues of Wildcat have the Fox tell Wildcat this, and this ain't word for word what she would say, but it's like in every story, there's this moment that happens where the hero goes through a lot of trials and tribulations, and then at some point in the story, the hero has to make a choice, and they have to decide to leave something behind. They have to sacrifice something in order to move forward, and so they have to choose between usually 2 things or 3 things. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And this speech that the Fox is going to give is this thing that's going to help him decide who he's going to become and what he's going to be. And this is a rough idea of what I want the speech to be, I guess. So as it came to me, I wrote it down, and then I'll go back later when it comes time to write the comic, and I'll make it sound better. But the Fox will say something like this to Wildcat. She'll be like, "Why is it that Batman has all the skills, wealth, and resources at his disposal, but Gotham is still a blank hole? The world doesn't need Batman. What the world needs is Wildcat. Just be Wildcat. Be you and do what you do best. Do what you do better than anyone else." I thought, yeah, that's some good stuff there. I feel like it's some good stuff. I don't know. Just me drawing out of my head. Maybe that's that hypothetical interdimensional being I was talking about in another episode of Sketching Past Midnight. This is me teaching my son the alphabet. A is for apple, B is for Batman, C is for cat, D is for drum, E is for elephant, F is for fries, and G is for a very poorly drawn Goofy. And I drew it out in my head. You have to cut me some slack. And then I was trying to practice my cross hatching, and all this other stuff. He gives me such a hard time over his alphabet. He's hardcore. Well, hell, you already can see that, so there's no secret here. This is my son's drawing, and I actually need to look this up. I was trying to look up YouTube alternatives, and so there you go. I mean, if that interests you or floats your boat, you can look it up yourself. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, so I don't know if any of these are legit or not. Ooh, I don't want to show that. This right here is like a secret project that I'm working on, and I don't know. I kind of want help on it, honestly. I just want to draw it and ink it, and then write it, and then let other people do stuff with it. And I'm hoping to get a lot of attention with it, and grow a fan base. Let's see. It's more of a secret project, and then we get into here. You've all seen this stuff, right? This is yeah, we're coming full circle now. This is me practicing what do you call that? Gesture drawing, but this ain't quite gesture drawing. I'm doing a little bit detailed, I guess. Me studying Mike Manola and some European artist whose name I can't remember. Me studying David Finch. Me studying freaking Joe Mad's hands and stuff. Secret. This is another secret project I'm working on. I can't show this. This thing I'm working on with the guy, and I'm trying to do concept sketches for him and a lot of different things, and this guy's gonna write the book, and I'm gonna draw it, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully he likes it. I hope he does. He may say like, nope, you're not the right guy for this project, which is fine. Where am I at here? Okay. Wow. We just took a whole big sketchbook tour there. Poof. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Well, I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this broadcast. I had a question that I threw out to the audience earlier for all those that are watching right now. For anyone that's going to be watching later, feel free to comment it anytime. And the question is, what is your favorite horror movie or horror movies? And I named off every horror movie known to man because I really don't want to pick one. You know, I like George Romero's zombie movies. I love Return of the Dead, which is not has nothing to do with him, sort of. You know, I like the Sam Raimi Evil Dead stuff. Army Darkness is my favorite out of those, I guess. I like The Thing. I like everything that John Carpenter's pretty much ever directed. You know, probably The Fog would be my least favorite of all the stuff he's directed. But you know, um, love all that stuff. I like Halloween 3. For the longest time I actually thought Halloween 3 was directed by John Carpenter, but it turned out to be directed by, hell, I don't know, by somebody. Like pretty much everybody that helped him make the Halloween movies, the cameraman and special effects people and just everybody, the production team and stuff. They just went and made Halloween 3 without John Carpenter, so that's why it looks like a John Carpenter movie. That's a trip. For the longest time, I honestly thought Season of the Witch was Halloween, was a John Carpenter movie. I loved it. A lot of people don't like Halloween 3 because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but I love it because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it. You know, the first Halloween 1 and 2 tell that story, tell the Michael Myers story really well, and I think it should just ended with 2. And I would have loved it if Halloween. This is what they originally wanted to do. If Halloween was just a series that they would do every year, roughly, and that would come out, that they would put in theaters and stuff, and they'd tell a different horror story. And Halloween 3 was Season of the Witch. That was the start of that, but people were just so upset that there was no Michael Myers in it that they just couldn't handle it. And I think that was the fault of the producers and stuff because they needed to let people know in the first 2 Halloweens that there was going to be that they were going to change things up, that this wasn't going to be permanent. And they could always bring Michael Myers back in, you know, later on. But it had been so cool, you know, every year get a different Halloween movie that had nothing to do with Michael Myers. You know, that would have been great. And have John Carpenter, you know, direct it. But it was not to be. And unfortunately, you know, that there's a lot of crappy Michael Myers Halloween movies that came out after that. It seemed like they kept getting worse and worse. And I kind of missed the mark, and it is what it is. Um, I love, you know, John Carpenter's Thing. It's awesome. Um, I don't know. There's all kinds of great stuff. Uh, I can't really, you know, I should have came prepared before I filmed this, honestly. uh, Salazar Art Nation says Psycho was a favorite as a kid. That's more suspense. I think that counts, though. I think it counts. I enjoyed Psycho as well. I think I haven't watched the Psycho movies in a while, the Norman Bates stuff, but it seemed like Psycho 2 really, I really enjoyed. I don't think Alfred Hitchcock had anything to do with any of the sequels. I could be wrong, but Psycho 2 was really interesting to me because in that movie, everybody knows Norman Bates is the killer. You know, the audience knows, everybody knows. And the thing is, if I remember right, Norman Bates is trying really, really hard to be a good guy. He's trying really hard not to kill people. It seemed like people's not making it easy on him or something. I can't remember. And that was a cool twist. That was a really good way to do a sequel. You know, a lot of people when they do sequels, they want to do the James Cameron thing. There's nothing wrong with how James Cameron does sequels, you know, because he basically does the same movie but makes it bigger and badder. If you remember, like Terminator 1 and 2, it's the same movie except for the stakes are always higher. and that's pretty much what it is. And he just adds a few new things to change things up, you know. Um, and he did the same thing in the Aliens franchise, like with Alien One, which he had nothing to do with. That was that guy who is a great director, but he kind of killed the franchise. What is his name? You know, he did Alien. He did what is that sci-fi movie with Harrison Ford? Why am I saying Futurama has nothing to do with this, CB? Why are you thinking of that? It's a classic. Blade Runner. Directed Alien, Blade Runner, a bunch of stuff. I think he did Gladiator. I think he did Gladiator. I don't know. Anyway, whatever that guy's name is who killed the he did the first Alien movie, but when freaking James Cameron did the sequel, Aliens, he basically did the same movie, but the stakes were higher, and he introduced a few new elements so that you wouldn't even notice that it's the same movie. And so if you ever become a director or you take over somebody else's comic or whatever, um, and you don't really want to change the formula much, the best way to do it is just do what James Cameron does, because nobody does it as good as James Cameron does. But like bringing things back full circle with Psycho 2. Psycho 2 was basically, it was sort of a different movie. It was like, it's like, okay, we've seen Psycho, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip it on its head, and now we're going to make the killer very reluctant, and he doesn't want to kill. And this is from memory, I can't remember. And so that's pretty interesting. You know, that was a cool way to do it. Use the same premise, I guess, but it was different. Let's see. Man, I'm really enjoying myself, and I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end. I've been feeling kind of blue here lately. I could sketch one little thing out before we go. But yeah, I've been honestly been feeling blue lately. I go through this roller coaster sometimes when I feel like I'm on top of the world, or I'm doing really good, and sometimes I say or do things, and it makes me second guess myself. Makes me feel like an idiot. I have no idea what I'm going to draw here. I'm not being serious with it. I'm just kind of goofing, you know, more than anything. Um, but yeah, when you get to feeling blue, it's just like it's hard to shake it sometimes, you know. Do, 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 do. I'm gotten all quiet now. Very contemplative. Do, 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 do. I done mucked it up when I did that. Shouldn't have done that. I don't really have a rhyme or reason to what I'm drawing. I'm just, you know, sketching one last thing before we go. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in, and everybody that's going to watch the replay and stuff like that. And I have no idea what I'm drawing right now. Um, I've just changed my mind. I know what I'm drawing now. I know what I'm drawing now. There we go. This is the character I came up with. His name is Man Batman. Totally original. There's nothing like him anywhere. I'm gonna rename my comic book company CD Comics. Man, this is pretty mangled, pretty hard. Like the worst Batman sketch of all time. But I'm going to see if I can salvage this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this in right here. We'll see if I can what to do. I got to thinking, what time I'm finishing this up, that I worry sometimes when I stream stuff that I offend you all, that I say something and that I go too far. And if I ever do anything like that, I apologize. I don't mean to. My gosh, I am saving this drawing. I didn't think it was salvageable, but apparently it is. All it took was this the big thick end of the marker. Dun, dun, yes, yes. Look at this. Yeah, yes. Man, oh man. I'm having a good art day right now. I don't know about you, but it's pretty good. Wow. Nice. Nice. My own original character called Man Batman from CD Comics. But you've never seen a character that looks like this before. Hot dog. Really loving this grumpy thing he's got going on here. Hello, Mr. G. It's going, and everything's going really good. Um, I just did like this impromptu sketchbook, sketchbook flip through or whatever, and seemed like I took like almost an hour on it. Just explaining everything. I had a lot of stuff. Like, I'm like kind of redoing the first issue of this, and I'm trying to make everything bigger and badder and make a lot better sense. And it's a really awesome story that I'm working on. And so I showed some of the sketches of that in here, and I also showed some of my gesture sketching and studies of other artists, and just just everything. I showed everything I had in this bad boy pretty much, and I also had the question of the day: what is your favorite horror movie / horror movies? And I was just doing, an extra sketch here, like I have no clue what I was going to draw. And I started out drawing something that's far different. Kind of looked like I've messed up dollar store version of Deadpool, in the face a little bit without without the eye things. And I was telling everybody that I was explaining about me feeling blue and then second guessing myself, and then sometimes when I do my live streams, I feel like I go too far. I don't know what I really go too far with, but then sometimes I think, do I make people feel uncomfortable? Sometimes when I do my live streams, I worry about that. I'm always second guessing myself, and I hate that. I wish I could just have the confidence to go out and do things, but I think I just care. I care too much. I think it's part of the problem. Let's see here. But for anyone watching or anyone that watches the replay, if I ever say something in my videos that ever offends one of you, I really don't mean to. Just trying to have fun. Let's see. Now, I want to add some Silvestri bats in here. Can I do it? I tell you what, Mark Silvestri draws the most pimping bats I've ever seen. He just, I don't know. That yes on it. Gee-oh. What have I done here? I don't know if I can say that or not. I can draw it on the other side. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? These are not like Silvestri bats at all. Man, I really hate to draw. I'm really digging this Batman drawing I did. Really hate to muck it up by drawing the world's shittiest bats. I'm just going to say it. And gosh. Kind of got the Batman animated series playing in my head right now. It's really helping. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Let's see. I'm taking it serious when I grab a pencil. That's pretty bad. Okay, let's see. Let me figure this out. Yeah, I can live with that. I don't know what kind of bat that would be, but there it is. God, these are some ugly bats. But maybe that's their charm. maybe bats aren't supposed to look sexy. All right. You know what we need? This seems to be a lot like a lot of prop, a lot of artists like to use. There's this guy. Yeah, I really love his artwork. His name is OMG, the original Mario Gully. OMG. He's the creator of a character named Ant, and he's from I don't think he still lives there or not, but he's from Louisville, Kentucky. And Ant was had its own Image comic. She's like, she's just this big red ant looking thing, and he ended up getting into some trouble, lots of legal trouble, and I think he ended up going and doing like what was he sold Ant to Eric Larson. So Eric Larson, who owns Savage Dragon, owns the rights to Ant now, and so she occasionally shows up in his comic. And what else? But anyway, the original Mario Gully, OMG for short, he does a lot of awesome artwork, but he doesn't post a lot. You know, it's very braggadocious. Also, so that could rub people the wrong way, but I probably rub people the wrong way as well. But one thing he likes to do a lot of is this. Kind of want to do it myself, you know, because it's just such a great idea. See if I can pull it off. That's it. He just puts the moon behind a lot of his drawings. He's got a drawing of Bizlockie showing her Psylockie or whatever her name is, showing her butt, you know, and then there's a moon behind her. He's got a drawing of Batman with the moon behind him. He's got a drawing of I don't know, Wolverine with the moon behind him. That's like his go-to thing. You could tell he uses a big CD to do it with, you know, to do the outline. Not knocking him. I'm just saying, you know, like I see that and I'm like, I want to do that. I'm gonna steal that idea. That's pretty killer. Original Mario Gully. And how are you going to see that bat if I shade this in? Who knows? Maybe I will come up with a creative solution on the fly. I'm telling you what, you know, this is like my favoriteest thing that I've drawn so far in this sketchbook. Well, one of them, you know, makes me look like I know what I'm doing. I'm liking this. Got to keep going. Speaking of Batman, I'm also been giving a lot of thought. Like I've talked about, like how I'm trying to study James Herron and Daniel Warren Johnson. I'm also wanting to study a lot of what the frig is his name? He did The Wake for Image Comics with Scott Snyder. He also did Punk Rock Jesus. He did The White Knight. That's one of the last things he did, The White Knight. And I was working on Plot Holes. His name is, I'm looking in the chat. I don't see it yet. His name is Robert Paulson. Robert Paulson. What is his name, guys? Come on. I can't think of it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I'll think of it later. But anyway, that guy draws The Wake and Batman White Knight, whatever. I want to study his artwork. He does this really cool thing. And I don't know if I can show you or not, but I'm always, you know, stealing from people. I'm a tasty thief. Hell, there ain't enough ink in this to do anything with, but I wonder. But anyway, like he'll take and put ink on his finger, and like right here on Batman's ribs, he'll like, rub it in there, and somehow the ridges on his fingers creates a really cool pattern, and I think it's really cool. I like his art overall. There's a lot of stuff to learn from him. Though I can't think of his name. I'll think of it later. But he's got a lot of cool techniques that he uses. He's another guy that really plays around a lot with light and shadow, lots of blacks and stuff, you know, and that's stuff I'm wanting to get into. Sean Gordon Murphy. That's it. I knew it would come to me if I pressed myself hard enough. Sean Gordon Murphy was the yes. No thanks to the chat. That was all me. I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to meet Stan Lee, and he's going to give me the coveted no prize because I deserve it. I pulled that out of my butt. Man, let me tell you something. Sometimes my brain has so much trouble, and for me to be able to pull that out at her name in every book this guy's ever worked on and still not remember his name, Sean Gordon Murphy. I want to study this man. Coveted no prize. I'll tell you something interesting. When I did the last samurai, no, no, no. When I did the last video, um, I asked everybody in the chat. I was like, the question of the day in the last Sketching Past Midnight award-winning series. I had asked everybody about what superpower would they have if they, if they could choose. And good old Abe Sapien, Abel Parsons, was trying to tell me. He's like, like I like to have that power from Jumper and the power from Morpher, but I don't know if Morpher's a movie or not. I really don't know. I'm dumb. But anyway, like I started, somebody like they were trying to tell me that they were talking about teleportation. And I spent like the whole video like, yeah, that sounds cool. That puts me in mind of this movie named Jumper, and basically stars Anakin Skywalker, and he has the ability to teleport to all these different places. And the whole time they were trying to tell me that's what they were talking about was the movie Jumper. And I still never caught on. I don't know if you guys realize that or not, but like, I honestly never caught on. And it's after I got done watching that video in the replay, I was like, oh gosh, I'm an idiot. I went through the whole thing, and everybody was desperately trying to tell me what was with the palm in their face. Like, my God, CB, he's talking about the movie Jumper. Why why is this not registering? We're having a failure to communicate with this guy. Indeed. My apologies. Let's see here. I'll do kind of a David Pinchy thing here. And then, but I'm going all out on this. I'm really enjoying this. So I'm just keep going with it. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just along for the ride as like all of you are. All of you are. How would you, hell, I don't know how to say that. I'm just along for the ride just as all of you are. There we go. That sounds a little bit proper. Yeah, I like it better. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. How am I going to bring it together here? Yeah. All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm enjoying this so much. You can stick with me for 30 seconds. I'm going to go get my markers. And I'm also going to take a sip of dark beer. I don't know if Ian's remember me telling you or not. Salazar says, I caught on. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, sometimes when I get to talking about things, I go off in these weird little tangents, and I go in these different places, and my brain divides up between when I'm drawing on the page and trying to communicate to you all. And when that happens, like, I miss a lot of stuff. I turn into a stoner, and I can't really think. Salazar says, that's looking really good. I know it is. I'm having a good art day. I'm tickled, thank you for saying that. That's really cool. Really cool. So I think what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go traditional. You don't see a lot of traditional Batman anymore, so we'll try that. And then a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. I want to plug these right quick. These are 16 color dual markers, and they're made by this company, AEN Art. AEN Art. They're not paying me to do this. I don't get paid to do anything anyway because I'm a teeny tiny YouTube channel. And here's the the color codes and the colors that come in this bad boy. These are alcohol-based markers. They are dual tips. They got the chisel and they got the little fine point thing. Made in China. Yeah, communism all the way, I guess. I don't know, whatever. I feel so bad for the people of Hong Kong, but that's a different thing altogether. But anyway, politics aside, and the poor plight of the people that live in Hong Kong, these are really great markers. I mean, they're not like super awesome, and I haven't even used Copics before. I use Ohuhus and stuff like that, and these were just $5, $5. So if you kind of want to play around and kind of get familiar with using a freaking alcohol-based markers, go to Amazon.com and try to look these up. And I think they're anywhere from $5 to $8. I can't remember. And here's some more stuff. They got other products that they make. So there you go. So let's go started. You just don't want to see me plug crap here. You want to see me color and things. Let's see here. All right. Let's get a good gander at Batman. Okay. Let's get started. Sorry, I'm getting really quiet. I'm just getting focused, and I enjoy coloring. I really, really enjoy coloring. I find it very therapeutic, very relaxing. I love to do watercolors, and that's something I haven't done in a while. And I started getting really good at them, and then I drop them. And usually, whenever I drop watercolors, it's because I've done one or two bad watercolor arts in a row, and so it kind of disheartens me a little bit. And so I just take a break, you know. I love watercolors. I really like art. It comes from the 70s and 80s that has watercolors, and you can't really find a lot of artwork from that period for some reason. Or maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. But a lot of children's books used to be done in watercolor. A lot of Sesame Street and children's educational stuff had a lot of art featured in it that featured watercolors. And there's something that's very dreamlike about watercolors that I really, really enjoy. That I can't really put my finger on, you know. Some of you be like, well, why aren't you doing this in watercolors? Well, I don't have them handy at the moment. And also, I enjoy alcohol markers in a different sense. Alcohol markers, you can do some really cool things with them, and it looks very professional when you get done with stuff. So if you're really, really good at alcohol markers, you can color a comic and it looks awesome. You can look up people that's coloring their comics with alcohol markers, and it looks good. There's a guy somewhere out there. I guess that'll work. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here, but you kind of see what I'm going for. I don't know. I'm kind of like planning where the light is hitting a little bit. Though I have no idea if it'll look good or not, but we'll see. But anyway, there's a guy who has a YouTube channel, and he has a manga company, or a manga company, however you pronounce it. And it's like I think it's called Saturday AM or Saturday something or another. And I think they're even getting into animation and stuff, and they're starting to grow and become very popular. Anyway, one of those guys actually colors his manga with Copic markers, and he'll use anything from the Copics to the knockoff brands and stuff like that, and his stuff turns out pretty good. So you could probably, if you type in coloring your comics with markers or coloring your comics with Copics or something like that, you might be able to pull up a few of these videos and see what other people have done. So if it's something that some of you are all interested in, that's a route you can take. You know, you can also color your comics with watercolor. There's artists that still use that as the go-to thing. You know, you don't have to color your comics with freaking computers. And I enjoy coloring with computers too, by the way, especially when it comes out looking good. Um, but my big thing is I love learning traditional methods. And the reason why is I don't need electricity. I don't need to buy software or any of that stuff. I just need the basic tools of the trade, which is, you know, something that you can put in your hand and a piece of paper. And then I'm set to go. I love that. And I'm also like an appreciator of history. And as sad as it sounds, a lot of traditional methods are being forgotten. I mean, can you look up how to letter comics on YouTube and find somebody that letters comics by hand? You're going to find mostly nothing but lessons on how to letter comics digitally. And I think that's a shame. There's like a whole method to making comics traditionally, from the colors, the lettering, the art, the inking, and all this other stuff, and all the different considerations. We use this chisel tip now. Probably should have done that in the first place, honestly. So my thing is, I really want to learn to do everything traditionally and teach other people how to do it. You know, to pass it on and also learn the modern methods as well, because I think it's important to learn both the modern and the traditional. Um, yeah. I'm going to use this gray now. This is a trip, ain't it? You know, I started out talking about horror, and then I got into talking about one of my favorite artists briefly. Well, he still is my favorite artist, but talking about him briefly, which was Ron Friends. Ron Friends. Really like his dynamic poses and stuff like that. Let's see. Let me tell you something else about these alcohol markers. For those of you that aren't really fluid with them, um, other than the fact that they turn out pretty good sometimes, you can actually go in and color over top of something that you've already done, and it adds a darker layer. I'm sorry, I'm getting quiet. I'm just really, really focused right now. I'm taking this super serious. Can you see that, Amy? That's pretty cool. Did I do the head too big? I don't know. I think I know how I'll fix this. Maybe. Maybe I can fix it like that. Okay. Got to make sure you put your lids on these bad boys because just like a Sharpie, they'll dry out like you wouldn't believe. Now it's time for the purple. I think this is what's going to muck it up, but you know what? I don't care because this is a sketchbook. This is where you're supposed to have freedom to make mistakes. And you got to give yourself freedom to make mistakes in the first place. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? Because if you don't give yourself the permission to be terrible, the permission to suck, then you'll always be terrible and you'll always suck at comics or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Because you didn't give yourself freedom to do it in the first place. And it's when we give ourselves freedom to be bad at something that we have the opportunity to be great later on. Kind of looking like a crayon right now. Let's see here. Dang it. Not liking that sound. That sound's starting to get on my nerves. Da da da. I'm gonna sing over top of it. Gonna soothe you with my soothing voice. Or maybe like this is like a really good ASMR thing for you all, you know? That whole big fetish. Last thing to do is to really just uh, add some effect here if I can. So this blends a little bit. Can't really see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I think there's really like a zoom effect that you can do through freaking StreamYard. I haven't got it all quite figured out yet. All right. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. This turned into a 2-hour marathon, I guess. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore anybody. And, if you guys want me to keep doing this video series of Sketching Past Midnight, you just have to let me know. And if there's anything that you want me to feature on the next show or anything that you want me to talk about in the next show, be sure to let me know as well. I'd like to thank everybody that is tuned in, all my viewers here. There's like millions of viewers right now watching. That's a lie, but I'm going to tell myself that lie because it sounds nice. Please remember to hit like and subscribe. Because if you enjoy this stuff, why not? It doesn't cost you anything. And special shout out to my loyal, royal, faithful, and true crew. All you guys have been with me for like forever, and all the new people that's come along that are faithful and true as well. So thank you for being there for me, for helping me be able to do this stuff. And I just want to encourage you all, no matter what your skill level is or where you're at in your life, if comics is something that you want to do, or there's some other endeavor that you want to go and do, there's no reason why you can't do it. Just go out and do it. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. The main thing is how you feel about it, and you just got to keep trucking. You got to keep making comics, man. Keep making comics, and you'll get better at it the more you do it. And you'll make some friends along the way, so that's pretty cool. And to me, I consider you family, because if you take time to watch my videos and comment on my videos and uplift me in times when I need it, why not, right? Yeah, but anyway, as always, I'll probably have to beg the gods to end this stream, because every time I hit the end button, it never lets me end it. I always have to get real fancy with it. But as always, this is CB Smallwood, and I will see you in the next video. Do 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 do. Yeah, it's a good looking Batman. All right, looks like I'm gonna have to end this the hardcore way. Bye, everybody.